A pleasant good afternoon to one and all. Poor people governor with the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help me God. I am responsible for what I say, not what you interpret. Today we have the pleasure of having conversations with Member of Parliament Ricky Ramsaru and Sherwin Holder, Member of Parliament. In that capacity, we're going to have a conversation with the state of affairs in Guyana. We're going to touch on issues that basically young and vulnerable voters and supporters of parties are asking questions about. Um, Today is no other than what we describe as a Guyana is in crisis, and we are looking for a way forward as a nation, and we will have discussions to that way forward. I'll introduce you to my two guests today, um, Mr. Ramsrup and Mr. Holder. Welcome to the program, Mr.
Good day,
Holder
good day.
and
Pleasure
Mr.
being
Ramsrup.
here, and good day to your viewing and listening audience.
Yeah, I'm getting a
Good
feedback
morning,
from
good morning,
some.
and thank you for having me. I'm here.
Great. Today discussions is pretty much for the ordinary people of Guyana, the vulnerable, as I like to say, the poor people governor. Today is for the clarity and clarifications of a lot of issues that, persons in layman terms could understand. Um, my first question to you guys, and this is for both of you. The PUP is in office for basically about 4 years. And in that 4 years, we saw the president there finally attend parliament once and is scheduled to speak tomorrow to the parliament. As a Guyanese and supporter of, various parties and the kind of stuff, and there are a lot of Guyanese out there that ask the question, why now? Why is he coming now? And, how do you respond to Guyanese that would ask the question, why is the president approaching the parliament at this time? And what is his motive behind it? I'll ask Mr. Holder to take the floor.
Thanks for your question. Well, look, the president addressing parliament is a normal part, or it should be a normal part of our democracy. In fact, when the president is there, then it's actually the convening of parliament. When he's not, it's the National Assembly. It's called the National Assembly. President Granger addressed the parliament many times throughout his tenure as president. But you're asking pointed question. You're absolutely right. Irfan Ali has only addressed the parliament once, I believe, over the last 4 years. And why is it that he's chosen this particular moment in our time, in his time rather, his administration's time, his term as presidency? Why is it only now, after 4 years, after crisis after crisis? You would recall we had a great flooding. I think it's in 2021. We had COVID crisis due to their poor handling of COVID when they came in. We had the flooding just after that. We had several crises around the country, um, in the various areas. There is a cost of living crisis that has engulfed this country for the duration of the PPP's administration, and there is no end in sight. And so, your question is very valid when you ask, why is it now? And the simple answer is that the PPP, I believe, is in, we fastly approaching that elections period. We could say that they're already in their fifth year. They've begun their fifth year, and so this is the final months. They're now into months before an election. And given all that I would have said in terms of the economy in uproar, the productive sectors not performing as they should, dismal performance in coal, in sugar, in many other areas. And I think that has led to people on the ground, lots of chatter, lots of negative chat on the ground amongst ordinary Guyanese and amongst PPP supporters. And then you have the big issue of corruption as well, which is no secret that they've been trying to fight these allegations of corruption. And I think so. It is a moment where they think that Irfan Ali can not only speak to the parliament, but speak to the public and try to reassure them or try to do some bit of damage control, as it were, in time for elections. So I leave it there. I know we'll chat a lot about these topics. I'll give my friend Ricky an opportunity to contribute, my colleague, and then we can take it from there.
Sure.
Yeah, thank you guys very much, and thanks, Sharon. It's an honor to be on this program, and I like the name "Poor People Governor." I mean, I came from a very poor background. I mean, I know the poorness. I know what is salt and rice. I know what to patch your pants to go to school. You know, when Bata used to be there, you used to get a Bata shoes on you going, and he used to carn your foot at your ankles and so on. You remember those days? All right. So I'm very happy that you termed this program "Poor People Governor" because end of the day we have to speak for the poorer class of people in Guyana, and that is where I stand as a member of Parliament. Now, the president coming to Parliament to talk about cost of living is a shame. It's a shame to the entire country of Guyana. I'll tell you why. In 2021, in 2021, we have started when the cost of living jumped, and they did two budgets in 2020. In 2021, we started to feel the effect of the cost of living because then we moved from 298 billion to over about 3, 4, 5 times more of what we um, have presented in the 2019 budget. So that is really what start causing the problem here, and then they blame it on shipping and all sort of things, except they don't have a mechanism to monitor the cost of price of food items in Guyana. Now, there are several issues that contributed to cost of living. As I said, the shipping they said was one. When the shipping dropped, nothing dropped. They removed the taxes from shipping, it still did not remove the food of price. Something is wrong. There is no monitoring mechanism in place to track the cost of living. So, if you remember back in the days of Forbes, and I always want to mention this, and I will mention this from now to whatever period I spend in Parliament, that Forbes had a system where people used to go in plain clothes and monitor the shops to see who are raising the price beyond a certain um, price markup. So if you don't put system in place to monitor these prices, it's gonna really, really go out of hand, which is happening here right now. So we have to monitor now. The GRE has a more um, extreme task to ensure that they can monitor this. So the president coming to Parliament now in the what do you call it, the 11th hours to address Parliament on cost of living is a sham, because they knew we were calling on this all the time. From market to market, we go every across the country of Guyana to check on the cost of living and vegetables, uh, into sugar that we produce here went 3, 4 times the price. Um, Rice is in an increase here locally here. The prices of rice, the production of rice has dropped. So there are a number of issues that is causing this here. So when he comes to Parliament to address it, or what mechanism, he should have been, as the president, should have been addresses publicly in his quarterly press conferences. You understand? So him coming here now to do this here, I don't see where we're gonna get from this here. Second point here I want to make here is that recently Alec Ferguson has tabled a motion to discuss cost of living, and the National Assembly rule it out. The Speaker of the National Assembly rule it out that there are certain factors that is not qualified to be discussed. So what are we coming to Parliament now to discuss cost of living? We were doing this all the time. We were asking the people here, they don't go and buy in the market themselves. They got people and the drivers going to go and buy for them. So they don't know the effect of it. Their bread are well buttered. They don't know you and me that we are going to the supermarket. The third point I want to make here is that I felt this cost of living. We used to do 135,000 for our basket a month. And within 3 months, it jumped to 170,000. When we went back again, um, from the regular top ups, it jumps to $260,000. And I have to provide this for my children, because if you know here, my friend, is that about 45% of our children, you can say the UNICEF, are in what you call malnutrition. So I have to do 2, 3 works to ensure that I got my children, to ensure they get the right nutrients. So that is the normal breadbasket for me. And I want to use me as an example. I don't know how the ordinary people are going to face this, my friend. And this is very troublesome for me, because we can no longer give our children dal and rice and bare dal and rice to eat. You understand? They have to get the other nutrients, and that has been affecting our children performance in school. And if you look at the recent maths and English, you will see it go down that line. It is because of they're not getting enough nutrition. So what's going to happen to our economy? We are going to have a class level where certain people can't afford to have the regular nutrients as, for them to go to school. And you're going to have a lot of fallout, dropouts, poor performances, and you're going to end up into drugs, crimes, and all these things. But we have here, as Sharon pointed out very clearly, that Guyana is in abundance of natural resources. We have been doing it over 50 years, and it's telling me, my friends, that we don't have the capacity to manage these natural resources. Because either, so that is what he's telling me here based on the records, because you cannot have natural resources for over 50 years plus, and we can't manage it, and our people are living in a poor state. The oil has become as a blessing to Guyana and as a curse to Guyana. So far, the blessing is only getting the oil. The rest is your course, because we have gone into the stage of the oil course, meaning that our cost of living has been significantly affected because of that oil. That's the only thing people will tell you on the street. People will tell you on the street the only thing that the oil has done for them is to increase the cost of living. Every single thing is increasing because of the oil. Our economy is being heated. Our economy is heated, and I got these warnings 2 years ago from my friends in Trinidad. Those economists there, they said that we are going to end up worse than Trinidad and Suriname. We are going to get the Dutch disease whether we like it or not. Because you know why? Because our political mentality, our politician here now, that is in government here, the mentality they got is what causing our economy to go like that. Right? I'm sorry, my friend, I had to go on like this because I'm really pissed now that the president is coming to the National Assembly to talk about cost of living. We are in the 11th hours here. What are you going to do to recover that? We have set up certain policies in place to defect or to deflect against the resource cores. We have set up the Natural Resources Fund where the people of Guyana, 22 members, to monitor and manage this money, how to spend by project, not to put it into the National Assembly and then pass it into the general budget. That is thievery. That is thievery, sir. If you wanted to manage this as resources fund, you have to go back to ensure that you include all the people in Guyana to manage this. Every society, from religious to the community level, to the Amerindians, to the government, to the member of oppositions, every aspect of the society should be a part and parcel of setting that. And I have to give David Granger credit for that, because that is where our vision were. Another point here is that we can't allow them to do this here. We have to reverse all these systems and policy here to ensure that we don't go down the drain, which we are already in there. We have to pull back. You know, somebody told me yesterday that you guys have a lot of fixing to do. Fixing from every sector that you can think about. So sorry, my friend, I went on like that. I'll give my other colleagues an opportunity as we go along. We're going to discuss. Thank you.
Fair enough. Well said. And you can go on and go on and go on, because here is where we get the truth and only the truth. And I like the fact that you speak direct to the poor and vulnerable. That is what I represent. Comrade Sherwin, you said it's damage control. I want to stay a little more on the president's visit. Um, in my opinion, it's a formality. Like you said, they're months away from an election, and they realize that his presence is not greasing the parliament, and it's a formality for him. I don't think he's taking this as serious as it is, and it's a shame and a disgrace. In no uncertain terms, it's a downright shame and a disgrace that we have a president that wouldn't find it fit to go to the National Assembly, or what we consider the Parliament, which is the highest making for the country. And it's unacceptable. How as parliamentarians, how you guys um how you would I know Parliament is the MP say it's a circus, and I don't know if it's a circus because of his doings or the Speaker of the House doings. But we find that every motion, and I noticed that he mentioned a motion was discontinued again. Every motion, and this is a pattern coming from the Speaker of the House, which is supposed to be partial. Every motion that the opposition submit is being cast aside. And is that a norm in Parliament? I'll ask Mr. Holder to take it.
The House has not served its purpose, the intended purpose, over the last 4 years that the PPP has been in office. What they have tried to do is to constantly silence the opposition, whether through throwing out of motions, not answering questions, or and in some cases providing ridiculous answers um, to the parliament, and it's not only in the parliament per se, parliament, it's at the committee levels as well. We have an economic, and we're talking economics here and the cost of living. Every other year, I chair the Economic Services Committee in Parliament. And we made out a plan last year to visit all these economic projects. For example, the brackish freshwater shrimp, the newly opened Rosal Estate, all these economic programs that I'm sure Irfan will come on Thursday to talk about how much good the government has been doing and where they have been investing the people's money. So I set out, the committee set out to do exactly that, to go and scrutinize these projects to see if Guyanese are getting value for their monies, first of all, and if these projects are if it makes sense or if they're effective, because you're doling out billions of dollars, as you would know, into these projects, and if they're actually making a difference in terms of easing the cost of living and improving people's lives. And to date, we spent an entire year just talking about it. We were never given the permission to go on the ground, and this is supposed to be a committee that is bipartisan. It's supposed to be both PPP, PNC, AFC. We go out there on the ground as MPs, and we have the people's interests at heart. With that in mind, we go and we scrutinize the government policy, where they would have spent money, and we come back and we make recommendations. We say, look, this is working, this is not working for the people of Guyana. But even at that level, at that committee level, they're trying to stifle us, even at that committee. So I'm trying to give you the nature of the People's Progressive Party. In February of this year, we passed a budget, and the opposition, all 31 of us from the PNC and AFC and the other parties in opposition, all of us, we gave our unwavering support to cost of living measures. In fact, we were at the forefront, as Ricky rightfully pointed out. Since 2021, we brought to the public that there is a cost of living crisis going on in this country in terms of the food price and the price for rent and all the basic necessities. And we insisted since then that measures should be put in place. But every single year, when we budget these monies and we give the support to the government, they just toss it in a corner and they utilize it however they believe that they should. So it is no surprise, it wouldn't be surprising that when Irfan speaks on Thursday, he will now suddenly recognize that there is a $7 billion sitting there in the coffers that is supposed to be used over the course of 2024 to ease the stress and the pain this economic crisis that the people are facing. But they have done nothing with it. So they want to come at Christmas time, and when the prices get very high and things become so overbearing, and now to say, look, we have $100,000, we have this cash grant for you here and this cash grant for you there. That will not work. That strategy has not worked over the last 4 years. We have laid out, in addition to that, we have laid out maybe over 20 measures, Mr. Allen, to ease the cost of living. We've said that, and this is tackling the poor. I should say that we have a people-centered development strategy, and that is why we're on top of this. And we've laid out about 20 different points to deal with it. I think the opposition leader specifically dealt with it in his budget speech, but we echoed it from various standpoints. We said, look, you need to tackle this thing. We now have oil money, we now have abundance of resources, and we can use some of that. We had a windfall where we got about 300 million extra that we didn't cater for. We said immediately the government could have gone out and give to every family about somewhere between 100,000 to 300,000. I can't remember the exact figure, how much we made, but I think it's $300 million or something like that. We said immediately they could have done something with that to ease the cost of living. University, we see now they're going to say, well, they eventually get to free university. University should have been free a long time ago, and we called for it. That also will leave more disposable income in people's pockets. We said we will look at the poorer class of people and remove the bills, the electricity and water bill, place a subsidy on it. So up to a certain amount, the poorer class of people won't have to pay. And we by now we should understand how much water people use, an average family use per month, and how much electricity, whether it's $10,000, $8,000, $5,000, whatever is it, and you put that subsidy in place. We said for our farmers, let's provide certain things for them. Let's provide bigger grants, small business grants, especially for our farmers, so that we can be more productive. They've done nothing. In some cases, some hinterland areas, they went around giving people a 10 pound of fertilizer, which makes no sense. I was in my room just the other day, and persons were telling me, they come. A gentleman showed me, three of them, in fact, showed me their big nut farm and their other produce. And they said, I asked what the government is doing. They said, well, about 8 months ago, they came and they gave them a 10 pound of fertilizer, which made no sense, because if they're to get into farming and farm on that scale where they will be productive and make a profit, 10 pound fertilizer won't make no sense. And so they prefer not to have it, not to take it, and not to get do their own thing, or not to farm at all. That is the simple situation there. So they have done absolutely nothing. It is a shame, Mr. Governor, that we are amongst the highest and richest oil producing nations in the world. And when you check the price that a mother, a wife has to pay for a bottle of gas in this country, gas which we produce, you got to pay about $5,000 for a thing of gas. It is ridiculous in an oil producing country. You've got to look. For our young people, I know you might even get there and time runs out quickly. So I just want to get some of these points through from our plan. We intend to bring about tens of thousands of jobs for our young people. Jack Dio has been saying we will take away these 10-day workers. We will make those jobs better. We will make those people's lives more productive. This thing that they're doing, the president is going to claim again on Thursday that they have been doing all these training, so people are now employed. They improve their skill and they're employed, so they're making money. Not so, not true. They're fudging those numbers. They go and they take a couple of young people from in the indigenous community, carry them for a couple of weeks wherever. They fill their money with their pocket. They fill their pocket with their money, and they send them back, and they learn almost nothing. They learn, and billions of dollars are being spent. We will revamp those things. We have a 50 for 50 program that we intend to launch, where we are going to employ 50,000 young people and pay them at least $50,000. At least that is the thought process that we have. When we get to that stage, based on the economy, we'll work out if we have to give them more. But we will do that for our young people. We are already on record saying that all public servants we can afford. And this government, Irfan Ali, it will be a shame if he comes to parliament and not say that he will increase that 10% that he gave to our teachers to maybe at 30, 40%, because that is exactly what he can do. And that is exactly what we will do. We are on record saying that. So look, people are struggling in the society today, and those are the sorts of measures one expects any government, any caring government, to do, so that we can live, the people of this country can live a comfortable life. We have the resources to get it done. Let me just make this point, and I want to go back to that 10%, that they offer, that measly 10% that they offered our teachers, and plunge them into poverty, plunge those families into poverty. In 2016, you can go back to check the records, Mr. Governor. In 2016, with a budget of around $230 billion, only $230 billion, we were able to give to our teachers 10%. How could you come with a 1.2 something trillion budget and still offer, after pressure, after one of the biggest strikes from the teachers around the country, them come back, they pressure them and they come back and they add on a 4% more and give the people 10%. In 2024, when food price gone up, I show, if you go and check my page, cabbage gone from about 360 a pound till about $700-800. Go and check my page, you'll see two little small measly cabbage, the bad looking cabbage for $1,000. Couple strand of bora, $1,000. You know, a pound of beef is about $1,000, maybe more. Some places, chicken more than $500, $600, $700 in certain parts of this country. It is ridiculous. People are suffering in this country. I hope that Irfan Ali is listening to this program now, because he needs to understand that they have failed the people of Guyana. And you know, I think at the end of 2025, whenever they call those elections, they will see the backs. The people will see the backs of the PPP.
Well said. They will see the backs of the PvP. I don't know if Comrade Ricky wants to add anything.
Yeah, Sharon has really laid out some very good plans, and you know we have a lot more plans because one of the things that we will do in Parliament is that we have to achieve two-thirds in Parliament to ensure that those policies that we are putting in place, for example, um, we wanted to do a cash transfer. We have to ensure that that policies is being implemented through law, where you know you cannot reverse as a suited. The way they're doing it here right now, like they went to do the Cape students, they give them $250,000. They go to the Fisher folks, they give them money. They go to, you know, they're doing it scattered, and they're doing it mostly to their people, because what we found is that the money is also not reaching the people directly, because they are having their friends and the favorites them to get money. And we have a lot of cases that we present to them to show that people collected money. You know, it started with that Ministry of Social Services, where they had those COVID-19, those relief and so on, that people were receiving money that 2 times, or people who don't have a home receiving money and all these things. So the way that they're doing these kind of things is haphazard. So if you put the thing in law and policies, you will ensure that all level of people will be benefiting. And that is what they're not doing. So the way that um, the administrative of this country is, or the governance of this country is very much of a, as I said, a haphazard kind of approach. They're not doing the thing that they're supposed to do and put proper policies in place and implemented by law, where you have two-thirds of majority of parliament to pass these things, so that you know no one government can go back and change it. And you know, as we are seeing here, that we have to get within 5 to 10 to 15 years plan, because you can't do a 5 year plan anymore in Guyana. And that is what beating them. They wanted to do a 5 year plan. You know, they're doing these projects, these massive projects, without this feasibility study to ensure to show that, you know, if it's can benefit the people or not. There are so many examples of white elephant project that the PPP government has done. The Skeldan, the fiber optic cable, the specialty hospital, to name a few. Now they're going to the most biggest blunder in our country. And Sharing said we have gas. They're going to set up this waste gas to show project. They don't have a financial plan. They don't have a gas leak management plan. They don't have a feasibility study. The earth we learned that has been moving. We've told these people, you know, man, that is, we have already done some studies through the IDB and show that those areas, 2 areas that we identified to where we can have this project. Now they're going to even start out the first one, they're thinking about the second one. So this is where we money is spending, and it scares me, because if we are wasting the money, and the money is going towards certain contractors where to set up this foundation. Now the Damara Bridge is the same thing. It's supposed to almost in completion stage. It's probably struggling to meet 50% of completion. These are the things that people must see. It's not jumping to say, I'm going to build a stadium at Pine Maria where people are starving. How much sports facility? Look, there. Look, I was listening to a guy from Trinidad this morning, and he's absolutely right. The CPL, them and the other cricket, some league is coming again to control the cricket, and you're killing the West Indies cricket because of what? Money. You're not doing this thing in the right way, and you're killing certain aspect as you go along. You know what I mean? We have to do things in the right path, in the right way to benefit the people. Every time we do something, you must think about the people. But you know what? Every time the PUP government do something, they are thinking about themselves, their friends, their family, and the flatterers. That is what they're thinking about. And that is why the country is on this state. If you think about the people to know how much money they're taking home. Calvin, you know what I'm disappointed with? We had a current census to tell us exactly the state and affairs of Guyana. Up to now, we cannot have that release. The blame said, oh, some people were not home, they had to go back. Oh, what happened? Almost over a year already, 2 years going on to, and you can't produce a sense of information. Now they want to do another what you call an economic um, survey of businesses. I don't understand the way that this country is governed in terms of the second um, GDP income per capita here. We are in the second in South America, Latin America here. I don't understand the way that they govern this thing. So the people in Guyana, if they want to benefit from the oil and gas, then they have to vote the PPP out. And I'm talking to these East Indian communities. I know they're suffering, my friend. I'm getting calls every day. I say I can't do nothing unless you come out and speak. And none of them don't want to come out and speak. They will tell me, I'll show you messages on my phone. Address this, please, Mr. Ricky. Can you address this here? Can you address that? How can I address it if you can't speak? Because they say, if, the time I do it, they say it's coming from politicians. You understand? So I'm pleading to them that you got to come out and speak because you're going to suffer. We are over 50 years of independence and we can't utilize our resources properly. We have a lot of plans that where we get this money, especially cash transfer, that we're going to give to them directly to have to cushion this cost of living. Then we're going to look back at the policies as Sharon highlighted several, and some of those in the natural resources sector. We want to see sustainability. We want to see value added. We want to see downstream processing to create employment. We have to bring that gas here to create it. What we call our energy here, my friend, is also the second is one of the biggest thing here. Where we are producing over 27 cents per kilowatt. Other countries like Trinidad and so on are doing 7 to 8 cents. You see the difference? So we have to bring that thing down here. They come in and talk about our Malleus Files project. They keep doing things without doing proper studies. So that's why those international agencies like Exim Bank, IMF, IDB will not support the project, because if you don't go with a proper project in a bank, the people are not going to help you. They said that is going to waste their money. So because they're not those people looking for a profit. I mean, if you're looking at 5% or 2% interest, what have you, they have to get back the money. So if you don't put your proposal in place or your studies in place, they were not going to give you the money. So Calvin, I just want to make those couple of points.
Thank you. Point well made. You guys touched on a number of things that I wanted to ask, and I glad in a sense you make it, shorten the list. High cost of living is one of the things that I wanted to touch on, and you guys have explained in detail about the high cost of living. Um, Oil and gas, the money is not reaching the people. We boast about oil and gas, and yet still our people are suffering at high rate, more than ever, which is surprising to me that I live in a country where, well, that's Guyana, where we didn't have oil and gas. We had all resources other than oil and gas, and then oil and gas came, which we thought it would have bettered the lives of the people, but clearly it is not. Is it bad management, stupidity, or gross incompetence, Mr. Holder?
Well, I think you're hitting the hammer on the nail. It's when you Ricky, you could mute your mic. Um, when you're in primary school or secondary school, you got multiple choice. You got answers A, B, C, D, and then well, D. You got all of the above. I believe it is D in this case. All of the above. It is incompetence. Um, you know, and I could add some things to it. It's corruption. It's the nature of the People's Progressive Party. They run this thing. They're more like a business. They run this thing like a business, and a business which serves only their interests and the interests of their friends, family, and cronies. So look, we could start with the oil and gas from when they came in. We had, I think it's a 21 or 22 member oversight committee to look over this thing and to make decisions. Immediately they changed that. They don't want scrutiny over this thing because this money got to flow in a certain direction, in certain people's pockets. And so that is why we're not seeing the kind of benefit we're supposed to see. I'll tell you this, Irfan Ali is going to now come to say to the parliament, I bet my last dollar, I've read into their program already, they're going to say on oil and gas that they're looking to get more from this contract. No, you can smile about this, you know, because we have been saying that the PNC, that is exactly what we have been saying over the last 4 years. The leader of the opposition has been championing this, that look, we will look at that contract in our first 100 days or so. We will sit with Exxon. We'll look at ways and means of delivering more to the people of Guyana. They're now going to say that to the National Assembly because they don't have a plan. They failed over 4 years. They failed. They don't want no oversight. You mustn't know anything that is going on except whenever they withdraw. The other day they withdraw what, 300 million US dollars, I believe. They withdraw. Where is that going? Where is that going? What projects? What specific projects are those monies going into? The law says that oil money, it outlines how the oil money is supposed to be spent on projects of national importance. If you have a natural disaster, you can't stop the government. You have a natural disaster, you need money right away, you should be allowed to use it. There are some specific conditions, but these guys are not laying out anything whatsoever to say, well, this is where your oil money going. And when Jagdeo gets pressured, he said, well, how you think the cash grant share the other day is oil money? How you think? These are crooks. And when you put, it's like when you put a cat to watch milk, the milk will go and you wouldn't know where it gone. You see the cat still there and you want to know where this milk is supposed to satisfy you, supposed to fill you up, fill so many people, and the cat watching it and it's going. That is exactly what is happening there. Ricky touched on a point on the gas to shore, which supposed to bring great benefit. Again, Irfan Ali will go and say to the parliament and the people of Guyana, we will reduce your light bill by 50%. What study says so? Which study have they done? They don't even have a feasibility study for the gas to shore project. They started to build the pipeline, and only now they've just put out a thing for expression of interest into what people feel, what these companies feel they should do. Somebody must come with a proposal to say, I will do X, Y, Z with this gas. They don't have a plan of their own. And that is how, could you believe these are the people that are managing the oil and gas industry? That is how you manage a mammoth project, something that we're the envy of the world. All those countries across the world, even the United States of America, I'm sure, has a little envy for us because of what we have, and so, with so little people, and we're making a mess of it under this People's Progressive Party. It is a total mess. You know, they don't have a plan. So just trying to stick to the oil and gas there. Now look, people need to understand the magnitude of money that we're getting from oil. We've gotten for half of this year about let me just check my facts. We got half of this year close to what, or maybe we have exceeded by now as we're in October, more than the 2015 budget. More than we had in 2015 budget was $221 billion. The last time I checked around June, they had about 180 billion or something there about that they received from oil. This is just oil money. This is not the forest, the gold, the other resources. This is just from oil, a brand new industry. It's like an entire budget, the entire country, national budget you've gotten. And what have you done with it? How have you developed the lives of the people? They're still crying. The poor man is still sweating out there, studying how we gonna put food on his table and these are small families I'm talking about that I know of, These are not large families. Sometimes I wonder how people get through, And that is the kind of money that this government has every year. They're making what, $1.6 billion per hour, I believe. Per hour, either per hour per day. I believe it's per hour. $1.6 billion every living hour of the day. And they can make people, like in a country of 800,000 people or less. Man, something is definitely wrong. Now, I know you're talking about oil. But look, and I could stick there. The oil money has grown our budget, caused our budget to grow. The non-oil economy is also benefiting from the oil, from the fact that all these activities are happening around the oil. So they have so much to gain from the oil, even outside of that oil money. Other industries are growing because of it. So they're gaining much more. But what have they done? We must look at what they have done with it. They have placed more than 60% of that money into infrastructure. And we must ask ourselves why. Because the PPP is equal to corruption. When you see the PPP, you see corruption. They're synonymous with corruption. It's like the same thing. When and so what better avenue to foster corruption than infrastructure? These huge contracts. I think Ricky touched just a bit on it. If you go over the West Coast, you see you have many unfinished projects that they give to friends, family, and favorites who have no capacity, no means of doing these projects, but their eyes are so big that they want to grab. They don't want to thief little. They want to thief big because they believe that they will be out of government in 5 years. And so they want to make themselves and family and friends rich overnight. They got Bellevue Pump Station. Nothing is happening there. Port Giant Pump Station. Nothing happening there. A whole host of projects that they had to cancel and retender. I see Jagdio now talking about some engineering Region 8. The man done bag $28 to $40 million. And he's still saying, the guy has to make a choice whether he's going to be an engineer, a regional engineer, or he's going to be a contractor. Nonsense. That's why people don't take them seriously, Jagdio, people do not take Jagdio and the PPP seriously when it comes to corruption. Because the first question is, what have they done? Who have they fired? What measures have they put in place? The answer is none. All they're doing is stealing the people's monies that could go into cost of living, monies that could go into making people's lives better, and they're just stealing it. So that is something that the PPP will come to say 50% and tell you how oil and gas is going well. I hope that Irfan Ali can tackle blackout. I hope he can tackle blackout, and I don't believe he will be so barefaced to say that is because APNU AFC didn't do what they had to do since 2020, 2015 to 2020, causing them. I think there's a spent or a cliche, or it's a cliche, overused expression. It more than overused at this point that people start cussing them for it, so they have to find other excuses. He will either come to Parliament, and I'm circling back because they're all interlinked. Corruption, blackout, everything is interlinked here. they will come to say, to give assurance that we will stop this blackout. We will stop it. Now the power ship, what we spending billions of dollars on, was supposed to do just that. And if you go back and check our press conferences, and one in particular that I was on, that I handled, I said that the power ship will not solve the problem. There is problem with distribution. There is problem with competence or incompetence. Poor governor, guess who is at the helm of GPL? Friend, family, and favorite. Is Nandalal brother at the head of GPL? What do you expect? When I speak with some of these GPL managers, senior people in GPL, they say, look, this thing is not about the lines. Yes, we got these problems, but the biggest problem is internal in terms of the management, and it has a lot to do with the government and how they handle managing the organization. So I don't know what Irfan Ali would promise the people of Georgetown all the way to Borbis when it comes to blackout. We've seen that movie before. They promise and they promise and they promise, and it never materializes. As I was on corruption, and I like to circle back, and I'll give Ricky a chance as well. But you can't believe anything what this president says, and I don't believe that it will be proper. This is my personal view, by the way. We will have to make a decision in terms of what we do, whether we go to parliament, whether and they might be sorry if we go. But I don't think we can sit and listen to that nonsense. I can't use the adjective that I want to use on this program in front of these nice people this morning. But everything that comes out of those people's mouth, they lie and lie, and then they forget what they lie about, and they lie again. They lie even more. Irfan Ali promised investigation, I think on June 12th, into Sugate. This you remember Sugate with Jagdeo and what's his name, Sue, in his living room, allegedly making out whatever deals. Sue gets all the help, and all the Sue is the person that organizes these contracts. When that came out, Irfan Ali said that there were going to be an investigation. Robeson Ben said the same thing the following day. Jack Dio himself came out and said there should be an investigation. That's 2 years ago. But you want to know where our money is going and why our people is still poor? It is because of those very people. Because of Irfan Ali, Jagdio, and that cabal. They're only for friends, family, and favorites. So they dole out the monies in all sorts of directions that cause people to make certain allegations of corruption against them. And that is where it goes. So we can't see a better Guyana once these people are in government.
Indeed. We can't see a better Guyana once they're in government. I know Mr. Ricky would like to butt in, and we're fastly approaching our close of time. So I'll combine corruption and discrimination while he responds to the oil, because I know he wants to get a piece of the cake. But at the same time, corruption and discrimination, and we have about 7 minutes left.
Yeah, thank you. I mean, Sharon has really put it out there in terms of the friends, family, and the favorites. Look, the corruption is nothing to hide about. We know, and Sharon put to the statistics, over 60% of our projects are going to infrastructure development. You can't, as a government, you can't put so much money one time to infrastructure while your people them are suffering. We will not have the capacity to manage this road network. And forget about the road network. The quality of road that has been done, it's beyond disgust. Let me do a comparison to one of this road, and I will show you what is corruption. and I wanted people to judge this. We had a road over that Schooner to Crane Road. It's about I think it's about 4.5 or 4.7 kilometers of road. That the set cost them over $350 million US. And the blame they say, oh, that North Bridge. I don't know when last you, if you could, I don't know if any one of you drive on that road. If you want to get some belly pain, a belly walk, you can drive on it. Suicide to Linden, over 70 kilometers of road. Look at the comparison here. 4.7 to 70 kilometers, over 70 kilometers of road at 261 million US dollars. How can a 4.7 kilometer of road cost you $350 million? Concrete road. It is what is spelled corruption. So what we have to do now, as David and I, we are talking several of these projects, because normally we chit chat about it, is that we have to now, when we go back into government, is to do an investigation or a forensic audit to ensure that we see where the expenditure they have in terms of what the engineers them are being estimated, because I want to see the estimate from the engineer. They're hiding all this information and they're not putting it in public. So when they're talking about transparency and corruption and all these things, that is the PDP government. Discrimination, we've been fighting this from day one. 2021, we went to the US and we tell them about the discrimination from the projects, that how they allocated to their friends, unqualified people. Look, the other day they went to Barbies, I think 2 days ago, and they want to spend some money in Barbies, and they're going to give out over 400 contracts to small contractors. This is not how you do it. We had it in a policy where 30% or 25% of the contracts go to small contractors who are bidding. And when you bid, you have to provide a certain criteria or qualification. That is discrimination, because you're going to do about $6.9 billion in Barbies, because that's where your strongest hole is. And that is discrimination to the maximum. You understand? So this, I don't, my friend, you got to bring us back to your program. When your program bring us back, we're going to go sector by sector to show you how the discrimination is. Sector by sector. There are a lot of international investors want to come in Guyana, but why do you think the US can't come into Guyana to do the investment? Just think, I see the other day posted a picture, oh, we're going to do business with the United States. You think that's how the US people do business? The US got a policy and a law that they cannot bribe certain politicians. They cannot bribe politicians, because they will be held and held accountable. So we have to be very on the ball to watch what these people are doing here. And this is the 11th hour, my friend. I know, as Sharon pointed out, that the president will come to parliament and all he can do is a political speech. I'm betting my last dollar also, Sharon, that he's going to do 80% of his presentation will be a political speech on the APNU AFC in the 5 years that we had. Well, you got said 3 years plus, and we had a jagabat somewhere. You understand? We have to do better than this here. We will do better than this. I promise the people here, especially the poorer class, my dedication as a parliamentarian will be towards you and your development. And I will fight my own government for that, because the policy has to come across all citizens of Guyana. And that is where we are failing. When we think we can jump and give our friends here a little money here, and go give our PPP supporters money here, and believe that you're going to solve a problem, you create a bigger problem. Because you know why? I live between two African community. And if we are getting some development here, the others going to see what's happening there. You understand me? And no matter what you do, we still are friends all over, intermix, intermingle. Because I know many people who complain about they're not getting the cash grant is because their own East Indian friend tell them not how come y'all ain't getting money. So the African brothers and sisters. You understand? So that's that's clearly pointed out discrimination. That's why we come up with the talks, and we had to go to the U.S. State Department, especially the Black Caucus, to tell them that this is discrimination. So Calvin,
Okay.
I'm the program, and hopefully we can come.
Okay, Mr. Ramsrew, thank you very much. We're fastly out of time, and I know for sure the audience is well informed and will make informed decisions. You've been watching the conversations with poor people governor, and my audience are basically for the poor. Um, I wish we had more time to discuss issues. There's a lot of issues that need discussions, and we will be back. We will be back sometime short, soon, to inform the public about the discrimination, corruption, high wages, uh, wages and salary, sorry, as well as cost of living. So, with that being said, there's another program ahead, and we gotta go. We're not going to even give you a chance to give your closing remarks because we're so out of time. So I'll give it for you.
It's all
Well
right.
said, gentlemen, and thanks for being here. And you
Thanks.
tuned to the Poor People Governor. Love you all. Have a blessed and a wonderful day.